What's up, guys? Our wrestling podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious along with Just Total Package and Craig the British Bulldog, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Today's topic, the Legacy of Goldberg. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. And look to your left for several other video options as well. And if you wouldn't mind, please give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2019. Jess would really appreciate it. Craig, your favorite wrestler's up, man. You know, it's Oldberg, Fullberg time.
Heck yeah. It's good timing for it. He's about to
July 12th.
We're doing well.
July 12th, he is going to get a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship of Gunther on Saturday night's main event, and this will release the week of Saturday night's main event, so that Tuesday.
And I hope that Gunther kills him, and I hope that
probably
he
will
slaps
happen.
the crap
And,
out of him.
But you're going to read, listen. He's none of our favorites on this podcast. Like, he's none of our favorites. The thing is, and he's a self-admitted guy who didn't have a passion for pro wrestling, got involved in it, got injured in football, came over. Someone said, "Do you want to try pro wrestling?" Because that's usually the default, apparently. Yeah. So he never really was like a pro wrestler. He never liked it. He never saw it as an art form. And I don't know, listen, he seems like a really gruff individual. Like, I don't think he's a bad guy. He's like a fucking gearhead, right? He's just a fucking big, dumb guy. Like, and I don't mean that to be a dick. He's, financially well set, it seems. I mean, he's coming and getting all these paydays. Like, he's been to Saudi a few times, and we talked about that in our unscripted episode about how lucrative that could be. And he's got a wife and a son. And hey, man, if he's teaching his son to contribute positively to society, what are you going to do? I've never heard a bad thing about him in the sense of like he's a dick or anything like that. He's just not our favorite when it comes to like hardcore pro wrestlers, but I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing per se. Goldberg is definitely polarizing. I don't know if there's any in the middle with Goldberg. You either liked him or you fucking hated him. And like, I think it's just that way. But you're going to talk about in the Monday Night Wars, when Goldberg was on his rise in 98 and all that stuff, like, he was just as popular as, like, I'm not saying longevity-wise and career-wise, but, like, he was just as popular as The Rock and Austin. He was fucking over as shit. Like, he was over 100%. As shit in the Monday Night Wars. Like, we'll talk about it, especially in 1998. The pops.
He was supposed to be the savior, man.
His impact was undeniable. You have to respect
the pops. This guy would get the spears and all that shit, and he was unsafe at times, and he was not a polished pro wrestler at all. But he was thrown into it. What's he going to say? No. Like, once everyone started, like, cheering for this guy and he started getting noticed for the streak, like, he was starting to get huge pops. I mean, this guy, you have no background in pro wrestling. You just have a little bit of power plant training. And then you have all these fucking locker room cancers like Hogan, Hall, and Nash in your fucking ear, and Bischoff and all of those people. And you do have some good people on your side trying to tell you, like, the right way to go, like fucking, like, Sting and all them.
It couldn't
like,
be easy to navigate.
But yeah, like, you don't know anything about it, right? You're just in there to make money. So you're like, okay, I'm going to follow the trail, right? So, like, I don't think I've ever blamed him for that. And I don't think that's why I've never had this vitriol hate for Goldberg. Does he suck? Yes. But I mean, like,
I don't have a hate for him either. Just I have a hate for what's going on now. The fact that they think they can just cart him out and he's broken at the same time, and they think they can just repackage that and sell tickets. And I think it's a bit of a slap in the face. And even Nick Khan coming out later and saying, "Well, you're not the audience we're trying to portray," because I mean, I feel like they're portraying me as the IWC, and I feel like I'm a little smarter than that. But at the same time, it's like, he didn't say Goldberg directly, but I literally went to like the comments on like, and booking Fullberg. What's that for? Because he's gonna fold. He's gonna lose. He's not gonna beat Gunther. What are we talking about? It's another quick way to like get over on a payday.
It is, and that's
the stuff that makes me mad, not
Dave,
Goldberg himself.
It's just to get a pop for a rating for Saturday night's main event,
right,
and then it's over.
But
that's not a bad thing. Wrestling's been doing that forever. So like, I don't have a problem with it unless he beats Gunther. Then I have a major problem with it. But I mean, like,
I have a problem with it if he performs poorly. They're never going to boot out of the building.
I don't think. Well, he's not going to get booed out of the building. But I mean, like, I don't know about performing poorly. I would think that WWE's been this well-oiled machine for a while. They make mistakes, but they're so well oiled that like they're not going to put someone in there that's going to totally shit the bed. Hopefully Gunther is going to do what all young rising stars do, and when they prove themselves great, you're going to go back to this moment and go, he carried Goldberg, he did everything they asked of him. You know, he gave the title to Jey Uso, he won the title.
I feel like he's already doing that. Gunther is our guy.
I feel that this is a good march for Gunther. Like maybe the new modern Goldberg, this guy who comes in and just smashes people. You know, like he's way more talented than Goldberg. Let me be fair about that. But you know,
oh my god.
So I don't think so. You're going to read on here. I really, you know, I know at the end of this, I'm going to be like, listen, he's just following the money. What's he going to do? Say no? Like what is he going to do? He was thrown in this thankless position in 1998, and they caught lightning in a bottle, and they didn't know what to do with it because they were WCW, and they've never known what to do with anything, like, for a longer period of time. Even the NWO, they fucked up after a year and a half. Like, you know, they watered it down or whatever. So we're talking about a promotion.
And they didn't pay it off. Yeah, we talked about this.
But, yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you. Well, let's jump into it. The early life in the NFL. Goldberg was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and was a natural athlete from a young age. He played college football at the University of Georgia, where he was a standout defensive tackle. After graduating, Goldberg was drafted by the Los Angeles Rams in the 11th round of the 1990 NFL Draft. He wasn't much of a standout if he got 11th round, but that's okay.
Hey, he got there.
His NFL career was short-lived. He got there. He played for the Rams and later for the Atlanta Falcons.
He was all SEC at Georgia, so he was a stud in college, but he probably just didn't have the size and didn't pan out to the
pros.
Yeah.
And he had a severe abdominal injury that ended his football dreams prematurely. That injury, however, opened the door to an entirely new world. While rehabbing, Goldberg was encouraged by WCW star Sting and Lex
before
Luger
that, Dave, I don't know if you remember the World League, but like in '92, like I was a fan of like the London Monarchs in the World League. That like and so he was kind of a stud for, I think it was like maybe it was the Sacramento Surge or one of the Orlando, and he played in like the World Bowl in '92.
Oh yeah,
and had another cup of coffees with like. Back to Atlanta. So he like not the NFL, but like that minor league of World League, he did fairly well.
Right.
I always remember that. I got all the trading cards from the World League in like back in '92, '93.
Oh wow. I had no idea that he kind of went to that moment. And kind of went because I don't want to call it minor leagues because that's not really what it was, right? It's like semi-pro if anything, I guess. But
yes,
that's still pretty cool. Yeah. Okay. No, I didn't know that. That's really cool. With his imposing build, stoic demeanor, athletic background, he was a natural fit for wrestling. But Fall would be one of the most impactful debuts in wrestling history. So we're going to jump into his rise in WCW, an undefeated streak. Goldberg did make that debut with WCW in 1997, and the company quickly realized that they had lightning in the bottle. The best way to describe it.
You know, he had done some stuff in the power plant or whatever, and then he's on Nitro, and like, you know, he's fighting Hugh Morris, right? And nobody knew who Goldberg was, and Hugh Morris was like a mid-carder, but he was with the Dungeon of Doom. We knew Hugh Morris was on WCW television every week, pretty much, so we knew who he was. Yeah. And we thought this is just going to be a match that he's going to win. Goldberg ends up spearing him and jackhammering him and just pinning Hugh Morris, and like that was a very, you know, you go back to the early days of Goldberg, it's so odd when he comes out like he doesn't get a pop yet, you know. And we covered Starrcade 97 where he took on Mongo, and I remember one of my notes was like, so fucking weird to hear Goldberg come out and nobody popped because nobody knew who he was in December of 97 yet. But that's then just the meteoric rise. 3 months later, he was getting pops just as big as the big talent on the show. Just 3 months later. Right. Like, it's so crazy, like, how this all rose up. He beats Hugh Morris. I'll never forget it.
The attack again. Maybe a vertical suplex here. Got him up. Oh, yeah, it is. Muscles him up. Combination slam. 1, 2, 3. He got him. Bill Goldberg. Comes to Nitro and pulls a major upset.
And Hugh Morris is not laughing. He got one shot in.
How about that? Not only did he pin him, he kicked out of no laughing matter.
And it's interesting because I think you always entered in the second hour of Nitro, and the third hour was always for, you know, NWO crap. I don't want to call it crap, but it was kind of crap at times. So they separated them for a really long time, and he would come out and just punish people in that second hour. Usually under 3 minutes. And with that no-nonsense persona that we talked about, he bulldozed opponent after opponent, building an unprecedented undefeated streak of 173 consecutive wins.
Which was a bullshit made-up number, right?
Like, yeah, I think it was legit when it was like 40 and 50, but then they just started inflating it because Bischoff was like, look, dude, like, we were on to something. And when people were starting to hold up signs in the crowd, Bischoff's like, we got to manufacture it. We got to just lie and say, oh, he did 5 house shows this week, so 5 more wins, and they started manufacturing it. So not a bad thing, though. Like, that was the smart... It's really weird. In the beginning, they were pushing him right. But then once the cancers in the locker room saw that he was getting up to their level, that's when they all start like right in his fucking ear. And that's what ultimately killed him, I think. Like, but we're in the beginning. We're in the happy phase right now.
He didn't understand the politics of it.
Yeah, and he did not.
What he knew.
He felt that anybody that came in and said anything in the locker room to him was genuine and they really cared about him. Like, and it's not true. It's so not true.
No, most of them didn't, if any of them. His explosive entrance, complete with pyrotechnics and the iconic chants of Goldberg, became staples of WCW programming. In July of 1998, he reached the pinnacle.
Well, hang on. Before you do that, this is where I want to stop a little bit too, because he hit the U.S. title before that, and I believe it was Spring Stampede of '98. He beat Saturn, and if he beat Saturn, who was part of Raven's flock, he got a shot the next night on Monday Nitro against Raven. And I remember that match. So he was already starting to get really big pops here. In April, I think that Spring Stampede is April of '98. And he did some shit in there against Saturn. Saturn's an amazing worker, and we've done episodes on him about how radio is. Goldberg was so green. There was botches aplenty in that match, but Saturn had to carry him and keep him focused. And there was a spot they did where Saturn goes on the top rope, and instead of Goldberg coming up, and grabbing them like a little bit by their thigh and their chest and slamming them off, like, Flair got slammed off the top rope all the time. He grabs Saturn and he presses him like off the top ropes, walks up to the second rope with Saturn in his hands and slams him down. And that place shook like when he did that. And I'd never seen anything like that in my wrestling fandom at that point in 1998. Goldberg was freakishly strong. I always equate him to, remember how strong Nathan was, He just had that freak, Nathan was built like a rubber band, like where like there was just, I don't know what it was, like that they were just born strong. And Goldberg is this freak of nature. He would do stuff that I was like, God damn it. Like he would pick people up for press slams and then drop them on his shoulder and fall forward in a power slam. And that shit, like, Goldberg would just mimic moves. That's all Goldberg could do. He had no finesse. Yeah. He had no skill. A lot
of people talked about like Cena that way too. Just to your point, where like someone like Big Show would get put up into Cena's arms and feel like he was floating because no one could ever pick him up and hold him like that. Freakishly strong, and Goldberg was absolutely freakishly
we'll
strong.
Talk about it later, but I mean, like, there was a thing where he did too, where he pressed Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 20. Brock Lesnar, and I know the guy's got to cooperate and put his hands on or whatever, but he picked him up with like nothing and dropped him on his shoulder into a power slam in one motion. And I was like, Jesus Christ! And this is Bill Goldberg in 04.
And by the way, people were so mad about that match because they were both leaving. I mean, we're jumping ahead a little bit.
It just sabotaged it, but I mean,
you missed some really good stuff.
But I was just talking about like his strength. So yeah, go on. But he would win the U.S. title. He would beat Raven the next night on Nitro to a fucking earth-shattering pop when he would win the U.S. title. Right. And there was other stuff too, like when he speared fucking La Parka so hard he blew La Parka's growing out.
Everyone standing as Goldberg is going for it right now. Go!
His hamstring or growing or whatever, he speared La Parka so hard, you saw La Parka go fuck and grab his growing like after that because he hit him so hard. Like, it's just,
I remember that.
He was so unbridled. And I'm not saying That's fair to wrestlers who got injured. And then we also, before this real quick too, the famous Steven Regal incident where Regal got out there and had to face him on a Nitro and was told by the road agent, hey, stretch him a little bit, fucking challenge him. Like I wanted to go
we need 8 minutes.
Yeah, I wanted to go like 6 to 8 minutes. And then so Regal's like, sure, it goes out there. But I guess the road agent did not tell Bischoff, who was hands-on with Goldberg at the time because they were building him on purpose.
Bischoff
so I guess
was pissed.
Bischoff was pissed because like it exposed Goldberg and Regal was trying to wrestle him and he would counter him and take Goldberg down or whatever. But like,
oh wow,
yeah, and it's a very famous Nitro match and Regal told about it, going to this day Regal will not rat on the ring agent. Like he won't
say who the road agent was.
He's like, I don't know. I'll let that guy finally do it, but he's like, he will not to this day come out. And he was like, the road agent told me what to do, and I did what he told me, and he didn't tell Bischoff that he was telling me to do that. And so that's the truth behind the Goldberg thing.
I wonder what the rumors are. Like who were the WCW road agents in?
I haven't even looked into that, Craig. I don't know why it's so simple. I could probably easily do that, but like, yeah, it's like I'm sure if we figured it out, we could. We looked around, like we could figure it out. But yeah, like to this day, Steven Regal's like, I will not rat him out. However, the road agent told me that. He did not tell Bischoff that, and Bischoff was fucking pissed because it did expose Goldberg and made him look stupid because Regal was doing like leg takedowns and fucking, Regal could really take you down if he wanted to. Yeah. And Regal was like not very healthy here. He was like, I think he might have been a little bit of an addict here. And so Regal was like fucking 280, 290 of chub. And so he's doing these moves and taking Goldberg down, and it kind of exposed him. So
I know who it was.
There was an agent involved whose job it was to make sure both talents understood the match or what we needed out of the match, help lay it out with them before the match so that the talent had a couple hours to talk through what they were going to do before the match, particularly if you were dealing with somebody who is incredibly new to the industry and needed sufficient help and support from a good agent, as well as the person he was about to wrestle, Steve Regal, to make sure that everybody was on the same page when they got out there. Clearly, that never happened.
Right. Yeah, you're not stopping this train because in July of '98, he reached the pinnacle by defeating, not Fit, but Goldberg reached the pinnacle by defeating Hollywood Hogan for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship on an episode of Nitro.
Another
in front of a thunderous Georgia Dome crowd.
Dude, like there was like fucking over 30,000 people there. There might have been 40 at this point. I don't remember, but it was a massive crowd for a Monday Nitro. And if you go back and look at it now, dude, that crowd when it popped was fucking wow. But what people don't talk about is earlier in that match, he had to beat Scott Hall to qualify to get to Hogan, and that match was a fucking train wreck. Like, Hall could not harness him. There was botches everywhere. Like, it was crazy. Don't get me wrong. The crowd fell for it. It didn't disrupt the crowd. But when you're watching it from a wrestling standpoint, like, that match was terrible.
Like,
and it wasn't a healthy Scott Hall. Let's be fair, too. I'm not saying that Goldberg wasn't ready, but Scott Hall probably wasn't all where he needed to be, like psyche-wise. And
he had his issues as well at this point. Yeah.
100%. Hall even said too, he hit me so hard at one point, like he was a wild stallion, and like I had to tell him, like, you need to fucking calm down, like you need to relax. Like Goldberg was just so wound up, and he's in front of fucking 40,000 people on a Monday Nitro.
He's in front of 40,000. He knows he's going to win the title that night. Of course, he's wound up. And
even Mark Henry, like there's a bunch of wrestlers that say the strongest dude in there was Goldberg. And I think even Mark Henry complimented, like he was one of the strongest.
I'm telling you, I've never seen some of the shit that people have done athletic wise that Goldberg has done, like in there. Right. And he didn't even know he was doing it, by the way. He was just so strong. Like he would just muscle his way past shit. There was botched moves where I would see him just like, he would catch someone in the crossbody, but it would be botched a little bit because like they didn't know what he wanted to do.
But he would recover it.
And he would say fuck it and just press him of just pure fucking strength. And like it's like god damn. And also too, a little side note as well. Vince would win the Monday night, or would for the first time in 83 weeks, Raw would beat Nitro in April of that year of '98 with the Austin taking on Vince McMahon Monday Night Raw with one hand tied behind his back. So they did not win a lot after that. Raw was starting to overtake them, but that night where Goldberg beat Hulk, they won the ratings again by a decent margin. All because the interest, because people loved Goldberg and they wanted to see it. And dude, like it was crazy. That jackhammer when you had Hogan up in the jackhammer, like that, all the arms up in the air in that fucking crowd was fucking amazing. Like it was one of the best Nitro moments ever.
He's calling for it.
This is it. This is it. Your career's on the line here. Do it. Do it. This place will erupt when he picks him up.
He's got him up. Oh, hell yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. We've got a new heavyweight champion of the world. The first undefeated man in the history of this sport to ever win the world championship and have a record of 107, 108. Who cares? There's 0 on the other side. We've got a new champion.
Oh, my neck, Jack. Sorry. That's what happened. His matches, not Hogan's, but Goldberg's, were short but intense, showcasing power moves like the spear and the jackhammer that Jess was just referring to. While some critics call this a limitation, fans love the raw intensity and unpredictability that he brought. Goldberg was finally defeated at Starrcade of '98 by Kevin Nash with a lot of controversy there.
On that one too,
know about the WCW downtrodden at that point.
Yeah,
went to shit.
On that one too, it's like, I don't mind Kevin Nash beating him, and then it was the build up. So once they put the belt on him, you had all those fucking politicking guys in the back not pushing him right. I remember several pay-per-views where they had Goldberg in the middle of the card defending the title against mid-carders. No offense, I'm going to say a name right now and it's going to make people go crazy, but here he was just a mid-carder against like Kurt Hennig. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, he beats Hogan. He beats Hulk in the Georgia Dome, and then he's defending the title in the middle of the card on the next pay-per-view.
The hard
against
part
Kurt
about
Hennig.
it
What are we doing?
is that he was limited for one, but at the same time, they couldn't let go of the NWO angle. They just thought it was so good that they should never kill it. And these additions of everything are the demise. If you had put more work into Goldberg, maybe you would have had something more. But I don't know if you can put the whole failure and the possibility of something greater on the back.
I think
Goldberg.
one thing that you don't do, I think that honestly, in all fairness, like the smartest thing to have done would have been to keep the U.S. title on Goldberg. Then he could feud with Hennig while he's U.S. champion, feud with all those people, and then beat Hulk that year at Halloween Havoc or beat Hulk at Starrcade 98. Like, you erase the fucking error that you did with Sting the year before. You just fucking let Goldberg.
I think Eric was tired. Eric was tired of creating work every single week, and it was hard on him. And eventually,
he
blew the watch.
We'll get off into the weeds on that, but yeah, they had the advent of Thunder in the beginning of '98, which fucking which
he had to create two shows.
There was a lot of different things that went into that. That is why.
How many more writers do I get? You don't get any.
You don't get any
more budget.
Yeah.
You just have to
what budget do I get? Oh no, you pull from the Nitro budget. By the way, it's like so.
All of this is what's,
and then Goldberg came right in the middle of that, so they could not have fucking booked him worse in a sense. Like, but he was so hot, and to going back to the beginning,
worse by necessity.
This is why I don't blame him. Like, it's like he was white hot, man. That. He was special when you saw it. It's like I wish that some positive people got in his ear, and really trained this guy. Like, what a special thing he could have been. But Dave, you're going to go on here in '99 after '98, like after Nash beats him, because fucking Hall shows up and cattle prods him. It's everything folds. It was all downhill. They didn't know what to do with him.
And reading the notes, I didn't realize he had a ladder match with Hall that involved a cattle prod.
It was in '99.
I can't imagine Goldberg in a ladder match. And
that was. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Sold Out that he took on. And they inserted Bigelow. Like Bigelow came in out of nowhere and started fighting Goldberg. So I want to say it was like I think it was a ladder match with the fucking cattle prod at the top. Against Hall.
God damn it. WCW, god damn it.
Yeah, and it was after they did the finger poke of doom, and then he fought Scott Hall so sold out. And instead of telegraphing that he had like almost a Kill Bill list, which would have been fucking cool and ahead of its time, they didn't. Like, he was supposed to chase down Hall and Nash and then eventually get to Hogan and beat Hogan. But he never did that. Like, they never got there. They just, he beat Nash and he beat Hall.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
And then Hogan
Judy Bagwell on a pole shit.
It never happened. Yeah, it was terrible. Right. It was really bad. In 99, it was like they just botched and booked him so wrong.
Yeah. So after that, we all know WCW folded. Goldberg took time away from wrestling before making his WWE debut in 2003. Hopefully it's because he got a nice payout from AOL, but we don't really know.
No, he did. Sure. He was the highest paid guy at the time. It was like $3.5 million or $2.5 million.
Yeah, he wrote it.
Why would you go and renegotiate that? Like,
yeah, you're not going to renegotiate, so you're going to get paid to sit, and I get that. I'm not mad at that either. They all did it. But his first run was rocky in WWE. He had notable feuds with The Rock, Triple H, Brock Lesnar. His WWE tenure was marred, though, by backstage politics and creative
Dave,
missteps.
sorry, and I don't know whether you admitted this on purpose, Jess, but of course the Bret Hart incident. What year was that? Was that
exactly. You know, I'm glad you kind of rewound. Like, because that was Starrcade in '99 is when he kicked Bret in the head. And they didn't know what to do with him. Russo had taken over creative in October of '99, and they were trying to use Goldberg. To Russo's credit, he was trying to put Bret in the forefront because he believed Russo actually put the title on Bret, and he's like, "Why are we fucking paying this guy all this fucking money? He's Bret goddamn Hart, so let's fucking use him." And obviously, it was after Owen died, so Bret decided to come back in late '99 and actually just give it a go. And the fucking match was convoluted, and there was all kinds of wannabe controversy. They mocked the Montreal Screwjob again, that whole night and everything. Yeah, but Russo sucks. I mean, he fucking sucks. But I mean, at least he was putting the right people in the top, and he was trying to use Goldberg. Goldberg was over. And unfortunately, if you go back and watch their Starrcade match for what it's worth, it wasn't bad at all. And Bret's great. So, it was just...
it was a mistake. It happens.
It was a mistake. It happens. And he was, he
wasn't great. He wasn't fully trained. He was power planned. They just elevated him.
And by the way, in '99, that's when he did that limo thing where he backhanded the limo and cut his fucking artery open. And so he missed like 4 months because of that in '99.
It was so stupid. Real Glass, he went off script and thought it would be fine to punch through.
I guess Punk was right about fucking Jack Perry the whole time. Don't use Real Glass.
Hey, man, I'm 57 years old. I don't need to prove anything to Bret Hart or to any other human being. The fact is it was a mistake. I was extremely green in the business, and anybody who knows me knows that if I didn't intend to hurt him, then it was an accident. If I intended to hurt him, then I'd be the first one to tell him.
Sure.
And you and everyone else. But man, I was green, dude. I mean, it was a screw up in the match, and it's live on national television.
Yeah.
And there's two people that have to dance, and you can only do so much.
Yeah, beat him at 20. And that match was famously booed because everybody knew that they were leaving. The internet was something that couldn't be hidden at that point.
But it was snake bitten. That whole run was snake bitten. This was during the Triple H World Heavyweight Championship crap era, where he beat people like Booker T and all that stuff, and he just
I'm still mad about that.
Yeah, he Goldberg was brought in late in it was the day after. I think he debuted the day after WrestleMania 19, where he challenged The Rock. He beat The Rock at Backlash, and Rock put him over. Right. And then Triple H took him on the feud, didn't like him, and they didn't get along well or whatever. And it was just this mishmash of Goldberg should have just fucking steamrolled and beat him, and they didn't do it.
Goldberg's only clean loss was Braun Strowman at WrestleMania 36.
He'd lose to Braun Strowman. Oh, that's right. Wow. That was the COVID mania, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it?
We're jumping ahead though. So Goldberg returned to WWE
in 2020. Sorry,
that was the COVID mania.
Sorry, I saw that, but so clean. Everything else had some shenanigans.
That's a clean win, yeah. But Goldberg returned in 2016, reignited his feud with Brock, and in a shocking twist, he actually squashed Lesnar in under 2 minutes at Survivor Series.
What a great moment! Listen.
This is when they finally realized this is how we should have booked him from the beginning.
They should, if they would have booked him like this in 2003, what he could have learned, what he could have done, in 2003, he probably would have signed a 5-year contract and been there for a while.
Lesnar center of the ring. Goldberg's looking for a jackhammer. He's looking for the jackhammer. Goldberg looking for the jackhammer. A jackhammer to Lesnar. Here's the cover.
I cannot believe what I just witnessed.
And that actually led him. He actually captured the Universal Championship there. And he would go on to face Kevin Owens, The Undertaker, Braun, Roman Reigns, and a series of high-profile bouts. These later matches received mixed reactions, but they cemented Goldberg as a big match attraction, even in his 50s. It was a big deal. Jess talks about this a lot. It's like they finally figured out how to book Goldberg the right way. You do it in stints. You don't book him every week. But when he comes out, he's phenomenal. He does crazy shit.
We just get mad because we are, I've said this before, I think we are smart marks. We are. Like, we're
that's all we are.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, like, we don't want the sport or art form disrespected, right? And so, but, like, who cares? If there's the casual wrestling fan that's coming, they want to see a train wreck. And they want to see Goldberg come in and spear people through shit. And, like, you know what I mean? So, like, we can say whatever we want about, well, technically he doesn't. And we're right, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. Vince, if there's one thing that Vince showed us, it doesn't matter. Like, if someone's a technical genius or not, if he pops the crowd and I can kind of corral him or her, like, it's going to work. It's just going
fucking tickets and it's butts and seats at the end of the day and working around his limitations. He was the fucking king of overachieving.
And they feel like they can do it again. They feel like they can do it again, even though he's well into his 60s. We'll see.
This is going to be tough. I'm not going to say the Saturday main event is not going to be. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
No. What was it? I don't know. This might be in the notes, but what was a disservice to him was the Saudi Arabia versus Undertaker, and blame it on the concussion. But that was almost like the final straw. Of
where people was pissed.
I'm not even.
If you did concuss yourself,
blame him entirely for that.
I mean, he hit his head on the ring post, right?
Yeah, he hit his head on the ring post earlier. And the Undertaker was a shell of his former self as well.
Yeah, right. So it's like he couldn't be carried.
Undertaker has his responsibility to that match as well. That's what I'd say.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Goldberg's legacy is definitely a divisive one. His dominance in WCW, particularly the streak he had, is legendary. But critics would argue he lacked in-ring depth and that his matches often lacked storytelling or technical skill.
So
there's no lies in any of that.
There's no sold out the Georgia Dome.
It's all true.
Cash grabs. Yeah. He was undeniable outside wrestling. He appeared in films like The Longest Yard. I remember that. He had a guest stint on the sitcom The Goldbergs, which was funny. He was pretty good in that. I'm not gonna lie. He became a pop culture figure in his own right. He also brought legitimacy and crossover appeal during a time when wrestling was.
I worked there. I didn't know him, or I never met him, but I did marketing. Was working for the same network that he did his garage show.
Oh, really?
But I never.
Oh man, never met him.
He did. By the way, he also did a horror comedy movie in 2005 called Santa Slay. And I'm telling you, it's fucking great.
Stop it.
Like, it's really fucking. It's really fucking.
You're
fun.
not. You're
it's
not.
It's awful. No, it's a B horror movie. There's no question. There's no. I'm not suggesting that it's like a top tier.
Did you want to go through these optionals? Just like
maybe we got. We're 33 minutes.
Well,
here
you go.
Good time.
Did Goldberg deserve to beat the Fiend? I say no.
No, that was a miss. Yeah, he did beat the Fiend for the Universal Championship. That was not good.
Wow.
Yeah, but did he deserve to beat him?
We can say that now. If Bray
Vince was just
with us.
Vince was trying to get some pops, right, and some views.
Mm-hmm. Should Goldberg have retired earlier? I don't know. I say no because you can still retire and come back for one-offs, which is kind of
no one else does. Why should we?
When he came back and beat Lesnar at Survivor Series, I think that proved that no, like he should have came back whenever he wanted to.
This is a dumb question. This one's dumb. Who had a better spear, Goldberg, Edge, or Roman? I think it's Goldberg all day.
Goldberg all day long.
He hurt people with it.
It's Goldberg all day long.
I mean, if you want to talk about doing it
by the
safely,
way,
then I'll give it to Roman.
He made the spear famous, like Goldberg did. So they all copied him.
Yeah. And I thought, as an aside to that, the Bret Hart counter to that when he wore like the metal chest plate.
Yeah,
that was kind of brilliant.
Yes,
I don't know whose idea that was.
It was Bret. It was Bret's.
Awesome.
It was Bret's.
Fear the spear. It's what we've always said. What you've said, Mike, and never more evident than what happened right there. In many ways, both men needed to fear the spear there. It wiped them both out. Bret Hart is the only one moving here. He rolls Goldberg over. He's going to try to pin one.
That's not the referee counting, and this doesn't count.
Oh! How about that?
Solid iron, probably.
That's probably the best defense for the spear that we've ever seen.
Yeah, it was all.
Of course it was. It wasn't one of fucking WCW's guys.
Yeah, no, not at all. No.
Brett. God damn it, Brett
is. You know what?
Jesus
I know.
Christ.
I have not done a legacy of Bret Hart, and I will because I need to get emotionally in the right place. But Bret Hart is somebody that we slept on for a long time, and it's weird to say that,
dude. How is he not booking matches somewhere for something?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. He's got ideas of the ass.
And folks out there listening, if you watch the WrestleMania 9 documentary on Peacock, you can't help but feel for Bret Hart.
Yeah, you love him. You're just like, he was fucked.
Oh yeah,
he was fucked.
Yeah, all through it.
He tried to do the right thing at all times. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead. Sorry.
Right. No, you're good. Could Goldberg have succeeded in the Attitude Era's Full Chaos? Is that like? Are we talking like? What year? We're talking like 96, 97?
Like if he went no Attitude Era is like 98, 99 or whatever. If he would have went over in 99,
I would say no, because if you couldn't survive the politics of WCW,
you would get eaten up in the federation.
You know where he would have thrived.
Kind of some of the same people, some of the related people.
Nah, you know where he would have thrived though, which he was kind of in if they did it right the first time. If they just booked it right, would have been the Attitude Era. I mean, the Ruthless Aggression Era.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Ruthless Aggression would have been perfect for him if they did it right. When John Cena was just coming out and all that Ruthless Aggression and Kurt Angle was hanging around, like, are you kidding me? He would have fit right in, but they just didn't do it right.
Yeah. And also, the comparisons to Stone Cold, because he was just bald and
he was bald and goatee and wore black tights.
Yeah. It was bullshit. Like that's unfair. It was completely
He was totally different than Stone Cold's
styles
character. Completely
and
different.
yes, like that is just not fair.
That's unfair.
You can say Demolition in the beginning or whatever, the beginning of Demolition was a rip off the Road Warrior and that kind of thing.
But they earned
they earned it. But
their work was completely different, Craig.
You can't call Goldberg a Stone Cold ripoff ever.
Yeah.
The stuff but even the stuff that Demolition did was not like what Legion of Doom did. It was not the same. So
no, they earned it. We all thought it when it was happening and the spiky like S&M mask.
But we give Demolition their flowers every time we talk about them. So yeah, I agree with that too. Bill's career was extreme dominance, extreme reactions, extreme moments. He may have not had the longest matches or the deepest promos, but he had presence. He had intensity. He had the ability to make a crowd pop, just get them to erupt. Whether you see him as a legend or a limited performer pushed to the top, there was no denying the impact that he had on professional wrestling. I still love his firework promo where he would breathe in the smoke and breathe it out and it would pop again.
He would bleed from the pyro, like it would burn his head or like bleed.
Yeah.
One time. What the fuck, man?
He would bang his head on a goddamn locker. Like he would bang his head. He would bang his head on a locker in the back and come out bleeding sometimes because he'd fucking slam his head in a locker to get himself all fired up.
Yeah. And I'll say to this day, nobody wore that. I want to call it the NWA title, even though it kind of wasn't. But that was like the NWA big belt.
The gold belt, on Goldberg. The big gold belt looked great on Goldberg. Yeah, he wore it perfect.
Good
point. I think nobody wore it better than Bill did.
And also too, like to wrap it up. I guess we're at 37 minutes, but like I feel like he's. It's so funny that he didn't start with Vince, but he's Vince's proof because you get all these people who love pro wrestling. You get all these people who love pro wrestling, love technical wrestling, and all that stuff, and want to dissect everything. But Vince, from the beginning, from WrestleMania 1, he was putting Hollywood stars. He was trying to get casual fans, mainstream, and all this stuff. Like, he showed you, and even with Hulk Hogan, like, he showed you that I don't have to have a Lou Thez or a fucking Ric Flair or whatever. I just need somebody that pops the crowd, and Vince knew how to guide him. Can you imagine if Goldberg came up with Vince? And like, just they figured it out or whatever, like it would have been a different story. So it's ironic that he came up in WCW, but Goldberg is
again. I don't know if it would have been the same, but Vince had Brock, and look at Brock. I mean, I don't know if it would have been the same.
I don't care what Cuz says. Goldberg and the Ultimate Warrior are identical. Their careers are identical. It's just identical.
Yeah. But I would also argue it could be for different reasons. Like Goldberg had no one to help him. Maybe Goldberg would have listened to Vince over the Warrior.
They both were majorly popular with the secondary title. They both beat Hogan for their first heavyweight championships. It's identical. And they both petered out because they both got big heads. Because after a while, when you're just hearing all this toxic shit, you start trying to go into business for yourself.
Do you feel like Goldberg had a big head, or do you feel like he just didn't have the experience for it?
I personally think he kind of did.
He did because he didn't know anything else, and I think that obviously he was able to have a longer career than the Warrior. But at the same time, like they're identical. They are identical.
Yeah. Do you know who else has big heads? Anyone in that fucking spot.
It's weird that Cuz will fight me on that. He's like, no, Warrior's not a... And I was like, no, they're the same, Cuz. Like, Goldberg and the Warrior are the same. They won the secondary title the same way. Everything matched. They were getting the groundswell when Warrior won IC title from Honky. When Goldberg won the US title from Raven. It was like, that's our next guy. And then when they got up to the top, they started getting corrupted by politics and not turning bad themselves, but getting not groomed correctly and not pushed right. And like, it's the same thing. Yeah. And I mean that in a compliment. Like I've softened on the Warrior. He made some, said some things about some people that I didn't like. But I mean like overall, like these people were overwhelmed. Warrior was overwhelmed and so was Goldberg. And they still found a way to make the most money they could from that character.
I think there's two ways to do it, right? You're either smart enough to go political and get your way that way, or you kind of keep quiet and think you'll be done with your merits. You'll get rewarded for your merits, and then you just get paranoid.
Right.
Probably fucking right. And the people that probably get paranoid are probably the ones with like who have it right, and the less like conniving and that kind of thing. It's like Goldberg and Warrior both probably got fucking paranoid, and then you just don't know
because they were put in this pressure cooker from all these people saying shit. You know what I mean? Like you're like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like,
at the end of the day, though, I think the question that anybody should ask, if it's rhetorical at this point, is: would you rather have them in this history of wrestling, or would you rather not? And I can't think of either of them, especially Goldberg, where you would really, we'd be better off without him. I don't think so. I think
there's so many moments from Nitro, like Craig was saying during that time, where we were like, "Dude, fuck!" Like even though we knew he was not a good wrestler, you could see it. Like because we've been watching wrestling since the '80s, right? So like we could see it, but we're like, I don't fucking care. Like this guy, is fucking something special.
If TKO feels a way
that rawness was real.
Yeah, if TKO thinks that you can still get 250,000, 300,000 more views, regardless of all his shortcomings at 96 years old, more power to him, man. If he gets a good paycheck, me personally, I think I said it last week, I'll say it again here. I think what we'll see is the elevation and doing something maybe with his son again to kind of bring him back, or maybe it's just the paycheck. Either way, it's like Triple H from the beginning was like, he's like, I need to call you about like, he's had this in mind for a while for his kind of final thing or a plan. So I think the match will not be 5-star. I think the moment won't disappoint. I hope so.
We'll see. Yeah.
We'll see. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, or watch our videos on YouTube at our wrestling channel, and check the left for several other video options. And please give us a follow at O.W.P 2018 on Instagram. You can check us out on Facebook too, if you're lame. For the O.W.P, Jess, Dave, Craig, we're signing off. Have a good one.